But the military reports directly at the chain of command to the executive. And if the executive says, arrest these civilians or shoot these civilians, they have to do it. I mean, I was shocked to discover this, but it's true.
Yeah, and the separation of police and the military has really been something that the forefathers put right out there. You don't want a military-type force policing the citizens. These are supposed to be officials that are there to protect and serve the populace. And when you bring in the military, I mean, it's very China-like. It's very police-state-ish. And I just got to tell you, stories this week, Utah and Nevada are now planning to use the National Guard to, hunt down marijuana plants. So I just don't understand how people can't get the fact that once we start using the military as our police at home, they will be amalgamated into one force, and we will be under a police state. And like you said, this administration doesn't seem to be doing anything about it except for expanding it. They're bringing all those troops home and creating a national service force. Although on its face, everybody's for soup kitchens, everybody's for helping the homeless and all that other stuff. But when you actually have these brigades under a national service corps and it's not quite government, it gets a little scary. And Obama has talked about a civilian army on a couple of occasions. And how frightening would it be to have a separate civilian army force on the streets of the United States?
Well, when you say civilian army, if you mean having a military policing our streets, I mean, that is the definition of a police state. And it's easy to say, I mean, people who really, haven't looked at this too carefully, as I didn't, more than 2 years ago, are likely to think, well, there are men and women, what's wrong with bringing the military home or deploying the military domestically? But unfortunately, if you look at police states or closed societies around the world, it's very easy for an executive to send the military to act against citizens. And, as I said earlier, what's scary about it is that they answer to the executive. They don't answer to Congress. If the executive says the military arrest these Congress people, they have to do it.
We'll be back after this with Naomi Wolf. It's The End of America, PrisonPlanet.tv, InfoWars.com.
Pepperspray.com. We live in an unpredictable world, and as everyone knows, I'm all about preparedness. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's why I want you to visit our new sponsor, Pepperspray.com, to check out their wide variety of personal security products they have available on their website. Since 1994, Pepperspray.com has made your personal safety their #1 priority. So give them a call at 1-800-908-9988. Again, that number is 1-800-908-9988. Or visit them at pepperspray.com and give yourself some peace of mind. On the web since 94, sell a wide variety of personal safety and security products. You're not only getting security, but peace of mind you deserve as well. Free shipping on orders above $99. Pepper spray of all kinds and strengths, stun guns and tasers, animal repellents, home safety, personal alarms, and much more. Pepperspray.com.
Make a plan, gotta do what's right. Can't run around in circles if you wanna build a life. But I don't wanna make a plan for a day far away. While I'm young and while I'm able, all I wanna do is...
We are back. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. We are joined by Naomi Wolf. The film and movie, or I'm sorry, the book and film are The End of America. And where can people get a copy of that?
They can go to endofamericamovie.com and order it. And what we're encouraging people to do is to do a screening. If you agree with the message, do a screening in your home. Bring your colleagues, bring your, church members, PTA members, whatever, friends and family. And then I wrote a sequel to The End of America called Give Me Liberty, which is about how citizens can take back the power and restore democracy. And I encourage people to Xerox the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution that we translated into ordinary English from the back of the book and distribute it at those events, because it's really going to be up to ordinary people to lead this fight to defend the Constitution.
Now, we've spent a lot of time on domestic policies here at home. I was wondering if we could talk about the foreign policies. We had a lot of hope that this administration was going to be getting people out of Iraq, out of Afghanistan, out of the Middle East in general. And, from what I've seen is we're seeing a large redistribution of forces from Iraq into Afghanistan. But even with the official plan, Obama plans to have 50,000 troops in Iraq at the end of 2011, conveniently for another election year. I mean, how do you feel about that? What do you think about what's going on in the Middle East right now?
Well, that's a giant question, Jason. I mean, I have to say I didn't know it was 50,000.
Yes, absolutely.
Substantial number. Well, I do, look, how can I put this? I spent many years by marriage around, people who were involved in the Clinton White House and sort of watching day by day, how an administration functions at that level. So I'm not as black and white as I used to be about the demands of international foreign policy. I think that while I personally would love to bring every man and woman serving in Iraq, every one of our brave warriors home, there could be legitimate reasons to keep a security force there for a transition. That seems like a big one. Obviously, I'd like to see it smaller. I do believe that Afghanistan needs our military attention. I do. I would love to be a total, dove and say, bring them all home. But there is a presence that I do believe that we need to have there until things are more stable there. But truly, the key to peace in the Middle East is one that it's going to be hard for the United States to take because of, and I'm Jewish, so I say this, very advisedly, we have to change. We have to be more even-handed in our approach to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Right now, we're not even-handed because of the strong influence of the Israel lobby. And again, I've lived in Israel for many years. I'm Jewish. I don't say this lightly. But there is this outsized pressure to support Israel at the expense of hearing the voices of Palestinians. And when America can intervene as an honest broker and really bring, all stakeholders to the table to build a strong civil society in the Middle East in that region, that's when other pieces of the puzzle in the Middle East will fall into place.
Well, I certainly hope that happens, but I don't see it happening anytime soon, especially with all the forces there, and, whether Pakistan is our ally one moment and then it's our enemy the next, and, they've hyped them up. And then even Iran, there was a lot of news yesterday, hyping up that we might have to go with our war with Iran again because Israel's having problems with them. I hope that we don't, continue any more conflicts in the Middle East. I feel like if, we were going to go into Afghanistan in the first place, if you had said to people right after 9/11 that we were going to be there almost 8 years later, and we'll definitely be there 8 years later, most people would have cringed at that, especially because they were basically telling us after a month-long, invasion that the war was over and major combat operations were over and we'd taken over the country.
In Iraq.
He did that in Iraq, but even in Afghanistan, they said basically, look, major combat's over. We're focusing on Iraq and in the war on terror. There was never a huge hype around insurgencies in Afghanistan until the past couple of years, in my eyes. You didn't see that in the media. All the insurgencies were in Iraq, and this is where Al Qaeda was going to do battle. I want to come back on the other side. I want to talk more about the film. It's The End of America with Naomi Wolf, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com. The InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. We are joined by Naomi Wolf. And Ms. Wolf, I want to get into part 5 of this, the harassment of citizens groups, because you discussed how, these people who were against the Republican National Committee are now being charged with terrorism. They might do 8 years in prison. But recently, we've seen a slew of documents kind of get leaked to our offices and now covered by the mainstream media, including the MIAC report and the Virginia Fusion Center document, where they openly state that, I went to your Facebook and you have a Don't Tread on Me flag as one of your pictures. Well, if you have that flag as a bumper sticker, you may be an extremist or a terrorist. And according to these documents, if you're, a member of the Constitutional Party or Campaign for Liberty or support Chuck Baldwin, Bob Barr, or even Ron Paul, who is a Republican candidate for president, you may be an extremist militia member or a terrorist. Let's talk about the harassment of citizens groups.
Slow down, Jason. I just heard about this today.
Oh.
You're saying that you've got documents
we had a sheriff send us. Well, a sheriff.
Source?
Well, here's the deal. We had a sheriff send us a law enforcement sensitive document about 3 weeks ago. It was called the MIAC report. And in the document, they literally show you 5 separate American flag bumper stickers that are no good. The Don't Tread on Me bumper sticker, we got it up at prisonplanet.tv right now for viewers. In the document, let me just read it for you right here. Political paraphernalia. Militia members most commonly associate with third-party political groups. It's not uncommon for militia members to display Constitutional Party, Campaign for Liberty, or Libertarian material. These members are usually supporters of former presidential candidate Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, and Bob Barr. And then for anti-government propaganda, they commonly display picture cartoons, bumper stickers that contain anti-government rhetoric. Most of this material will depict the Federal Reserve System, IRS, FBI, ATF, CIA, UN, law enforcement, and quote-unquote New World Order in a derogatory manner. So that document came out.
Slow down, Jason. So they're identifying these people as what? They're identifying them as terrorists?
Well, in this one, it's extremist groups and militia members. However, a document we got a week ago from the Virginia Fusion Center. This is a 12-page document.